further. It's time for a little sharpener from the trolley. And what have you lined up today, Suze? Because quite thirsty, actually.
I've gone for a very refreshing, cool, crisp West Coast Pilsner. It's called Orange County Pils. It's 5.5%. It's kind of cool, hoppy, delicious.
Nice.
Mosaic, Simcoe, Citra and Strata hops in this one. So,
So that's the OC, the Orange County thing that you're talking about there. It's their special lager. Okay. Matt would like a pint and a half.
Yes, please.
Just to get him through
and some crisps.
the rest of the show.
drink responsibly.
What flavour would you like?
Crisps, thanks. Yes.
Cheese and onion?
Cheese and onion would be lovely,
that'll do.
That'd be great.
Today's confession comes from another Susie. Not you, though, spelt differently. Father Simon in the Confessional Collective. This one has been weighing on my conscience for 10 years now, like a thick, gloopy layer of guilt that just won't drain away. Picture the scene, a bustling customer service call centre in Nottingham. 120 souls, all chained to headsets, phones ringing off the hook. Tiny kitchenette in the corner, one sink, one tap, one kettle and a fridge that's basically a war zone. It is heavily used. Every day without fail, I was the smoothie girl. I'd blend up my raspberry peach concoction in the morning, banana, yogurt, splash of milk, chia seeds, flax seeds. You know how it is, the way Matt has his breakfast.
Of course. Yeah.
And I sip it throughout the day.
Yeah.
A healthy choice to keep the energy up for those endless. Have you tried turning it off and turning it on again?
No.
Calls, which we got all the time. But this particular day, complete chaos. Calls back to back, no breaks, no chance to even lift the smoothie to my lips. By home time, it was still sitting there, untouched, slowly fermenting under fluorescent lights. And in my haste to escape the call centre mayhem, I accidentally left the smoothie on my desk. I don't know quite how rushed you'd have to be, not have time to actually take a drink. But anyway, that's what Susie is saying. Let's believe her. Next morning, I arrive, pick up the smoothie bottle, and it was rank. Everything had separated. A murky, brownish purple with suspicious floaters. No way I was drinking that. So I took it to the little kitchen and tipped the whole lot down the sink. It was thick and gloopy. It did not so much pour as ooze. I ran the tap a few times to chase it through. Slowly, very slowly, it disappeared. A little pool of water lingered at the bottom, and I thought, oh, that's fine, it'll all go down. And I walked away, job done. At 8:30 a.m. sharp, enter the customer service manager. Imagine the Fat Controller from Thomas the Tank Engine, narrated occasionally by Ringo Starr.
Ringo Starr, yes!
A guest after 6 o'clock.
There he is.
Just mentioning that in passing. But in an ill-fitting suit and with even less patience than the Fat Controller, pompous, oddly intense about rules, procedures, and above all, hitting every single target. Do not waste time. Come on, let's go, and so on. He goes to rinse his mug. Tap on, water in, and water, not going anywhere. The sink is filling, slowly at first, and then with definite menace. I'm walking past at exactly the wrong moment. He spots me and beckons me over with an authoritative finger wag. Look at this, he booms. Look at this. Someone has blocked the sink.
What voice is this? Goodness me.
It's the boss.
Ray Winston?
Yeah.
It's halfway, yeah.
Someone has been completely irresponsible. It's Jason Statham.
It is, isn't it?
Oh, nice.
Who would do such a thing? Why would they leave it like this?
It's that voice.
Sorry, I just need to have a smoothie.
Yeah. It's so good.
Citra hops rather.
Oh, right.
But it goes to your hips, doesn't it?
Citra hips.
Every inch.
Why would they leave it like this, says the Fat Controller. And there, bobbing gently in the rising water like evidence in a crime scene, are the unmistakable remnants of my raspberry and peach smoothie. Pinkish streaks, tiny seed fragments, a gloopy swirl of what was once my breakfast. Occasionally, fermented bubbles rose to the surface, popping and releasing rotted, fetid fumes.
Oh, that's smelly.
I stare at it. I stare at him. Inside my head, full panic. Outside, calm, concerned colleague. Who indeed, I murmur. Terrible, absolutely terrible. I hope they sorted out soon. Then I added, might it be a dead animal flushed up from the drains? Maybe it got stuck. And then I scarpered back to my desk. Well, you never know, do you?
No, you
The sink was officially declared out of order and a plumber summoned. The entire call centre, 120 parched agents, was reduced to trekking up 2 flights of stairs to the kitchen on the 3rd floor every time anyone wanted a cup of tea or coffee. You know how precious seconds are in that world. Every minute off the phone is a call waiting to the queue, targets missed, managers looking at call centre screens twitching and pacing the aisles and desks. This mistake of mine was costing money. The grumbling went on all day. Who was it? What moron pours that into a sink? Although maybe it was a dead rat or badger I mentioned. Or a raccoon. Do we even have raccoons? Not if they're flushed down the sink. And all the while, I sat there sipping from my new fresh water bottle, knowing that I was the moron in question. Father Simon asked for forgiveness, not for myself, because my DIY enthusiast father taught me about drains and common sense. I should have known better. Instead, I asked for forgiveness from my poor colleagues who went thirsty and spent half their day hiking up and down stairs to the 3rd floor, and from the fat controller, who had to deal with the fallout, the complaints, the missed targets, the engineer visit, and a stern email from facilities about kitchen misuse. I was young. I was smoothly ambitious. I was catastrophically wrong. Is there absolution for accidentally turning a small kitchen into a no-drink zone? Well, we'll find out, won't we? Yours in shame, Susie, a smoothie criminal. She signs off. A smoothie criminal. Got it. It's very good.
Yeah.
Susie, what do you say to Susie?
Well, I do feel for Susie. I used to work at a call centre when I was very young, and I get it. So I do feel for her. But she shouldn't have left her on a desk. It could have been worse. It might have even exploded from the bottle with all the fermentation and everything that happens. And also, if it was that thick, you should have just scraped it into the food bin rather than trying to pour it down the sink. So I'm not going to forgive.
Brother Matthew.
So I've never had a smoothie. Little too continental and fancy for my taste. But I didn't know you can't flush them. You surely should be able to flush them down the sink. But as Brian Adams would say,
Go on. Finish. Talk over it, doesn't matter.
Let's just say we're going to forgive.
Yes.
We're going to forgive because of the words of Brian Adams. There he is again.
People's verdict, please. 61054.
Keep going.
Just before the news, a confession from Susie, the smoothie criminal, who tipped her smoothie, which was all rotten and manky, down the sink. It went septic, erupting like a volcano of fetid filth.
Oh, dear.
And the people's verdict is in. Here we go.
Lauren says, forgiven. At least she didn't leave it on the desk. Someone I work with left hers on the windowsill over the summer break.
Oh, my word.
As you can imagine, it was extremely gross by the time we got back. John in Leatherhead says, forgiven. I blame the system. The plumbing should be able to deal with a smoothie. I put all sorts down my sink and it deals with it absolutely fine. And Pat says, not forgiven. I've never liked smoothies. Pretentious drinks, if you ask me.
Classic mad.
Yes.
If you have a confession, please send it to confessions@greatesthitsradio.co.uk. 7. If you have a confession, we would love to get it. And if we read it out, then you get a smart speaker. That's the way it goes. And there's a brand new Confessions podcast, which lands, as long as you subscribe, it lands for you every single Friday. Today's confession features the moral authority of young Holly, who's producing the show today. Mm-hmm. And she's back, and she's stern as ever.
Oh, yes.
Today's confession comes from Jeanette. Thank you, Jeanette, for sending in today's tale. Father Sam and the rest of the congregation, as it's springtime, I thought maybe it was time to confess to something that happened about 18 years ago. 18 springs ago, we are here. To give you some background, at this time of year, you often see Morris dancers at events. And I rather liked them. Not so my husband, who really was a grumpy old so-and-so. He thought they were weird. Imagine.
I can't imagine that at
That's
all.
face says it all.
I found the weaving and jumping and sidestepping and stick hitting to be a joyful thing, but he would just mumble and grouch. Clearly a preposterous overreaction. This is part of our culture and we should cherish it. Morris dance dates back to the 15th century, Father Simon, and can brighten up the dingiest pub car park or village green. I agree with you, Jeanette. Don't know about Matt, though.
Yes.
At the time, grumpy husband had a knee injury and was waiting to hear from the hospital about physio. As it happened, I worked with two lovely people who happened to be in a Morris dancing group, and this is where the germ of an idea came from. I managed to fake a letter. Now, normally when we get fake letter confessions, of which there are many,
Oh, yes.
I chuck them out because I don't like them. However,
Oh.
I managed to fake a letter from the local hospital, which I guess was illegal, but whatever, to offer him a new physio option that would get him seen more quickly. The letter advised him that because of the long waiting list for traditional physio, they wanted to offer him a new therapy that they had introduced, which was Morris dancing therapy. He went through a few details and invited him to contact the department to arrange his first session. The letter ended with a PS advising that he didn't need any equipment as hankies, bells and sticks would be supplied.
Nice.
He could, however, prepare himself by standing on his own at home and trying some of the following. Okay, so at this point I'm going to stop that.
Oh, that, yes.
Single step, a basic step hop, left hop, right hop. Double step, a 3-step movement, right, left hop, left hop.
Yeah.
Or a caper, a high vertical springy leap. Or a slip step, a sidestepping movement where dancers move sideways together. So later I picked up my phone and he was absolutely livid, Father Simon. He said he'd tried the springy leap and crashed into the sideboard. So he tried the double step and twisted his ankle. Even the single step made his ingrown toenails worse.
Oh, right, lovely.
What a mess. Okay, there we go.
Back to that.
Back to that. You can only take so much. Unless you're in a pub car park with a pint in your hand. So, yes, I don't really seek forgiveness from him because he really has no sense of humour. I do, however, seek forgiveness from the receptionist and the physiotherapist, because I put the phone on speaker and they had a wonderful time listening to this man have a tantrum, and he failed to see what the problem was. But anyway, he did slam down the phone, so I don't think he has a sense of humour, which is why we broke up. I do, however, seek forgiveness from I mean, I think there were other issues in there as well.
Oh, really?
I do, however, seek forgiveness from the receptionist and physiotherapist, as I mentioned, who took the call. I thought surely he'd see it was a prank, but no, he rang the hospital to complain in the strongest possible terms. He did not apparently pay his taxes to be told to wave a hanky and put jingle bells over his socks.
Oh, did he not?
Therefore, Father Simon and the congregation, I seek forgiveness for the trauma I may have caused the hospital staff with his outburst. But not from him. We separated shortly after, and to be honest, it was a relief.
Okay.
It was a relief to see the back of Mr. Grumpy.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Jeanette. So, a true story about how Morris dancing was the end of it, basically. Sister Holly, what do you say?
Well, I'm always for dancing in all forms, really. I love it. But the problem was that he was already not doing very well with the ankle. And so getting him to do all these funky dance moves with the Morris dancing was really a bad idea. She was pretending to be a health professional when she wasn't, via a letter. And that's pretty bad behaviour.
Do you think?
And that's why I'm not forgiving this, I'm afraid.
I haven't tried a caper recently, a high vertical springy leap.
No, we did a left-right hop as well, a little bit of that.
And a slip step, what do you say, Matthew?
Yes, I'm going to forgive. I mean, obviously this falls into the well-worn category of he's just a bit thick, really, so what did you expect? Because no hospital is going to tell you to do Morris dancing as therapy, and you should have worked that out, shouldn't he? Because even if they'd have said something like go swimming or something like that. So I think he should have seen it coming, and he also had no sense of humour, and it looked like the marriage was over anyway.
Yes.
That's going to be my assessment, and better off without him there, Jeanette. Bullet dodged. So yes, I'm going to forgive.
So I think you might, because it is difficult to get physio at the local hospital. So I think if the hospital said, why don't you try this? It's brand new. If you're in a lot of pain, you might have gone for it.
Yes, you might have done.
That's
if
what I think.
Not that bright.
If you're not that bright.
Yes.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Of course there is that. People's verdict, please, for Jeanette in Rugby. Is she forgiven? 61054. First way to sign it. Just before the news, we had a confession from Jeanette, who had a grumpy husband who was offered new physio themed around Morris dancing. What's that I hear you say?
Oh!
Thanks. Anyway, it was completely fake because it was a letter from Jeanette, his wife, but soon-to-be ex-wife, So they've all moved on. Anyway, nice to get a bit of dancing therapy. How did the people's verdict look?
So Heather in Milton Keynes says, not forgiven. The prank I can forgive, but surely Jeanette knew her then husband well enough to know he was humourless enough to give NHS staff an earful. Sandy, though, says, forgiven. Confession was genius. I loved this. I was married to a grumpy man too. Wish I'd thought of something similar. But Colin in Andover says, not forgiven. Morris dancing is a brilliant cultural tradition and should not be the subject of mockery.
A mockery in capitals.
Full caps.
Full caps indeed. Thank you very much for the verdicts and thank you for all the confessions. Send yours to confessions@greatesthitsradio.co.uk. It's 5:46. So it's confession time, and if you find, having listened to this confession, that you have a story for us, we would like to hear it. It's confessions@greatesthitsradio.co.uk. Susie's still on a break, so Sister Holly is coming in, and I think she's feeling very, very unforgiving at the moment.
I am, absolutely.
There you go. That's the way she's rolling. Okay, today's confession comes from Stanley. All right, Stan? Father Simon and the Heavenly Collective. My confession dates back 12 years to a school teacher training day. It was the last day of the school year, with everyone excited to break up for the summer. It was hot and muggy. About 120 school staff sat in the sixth form common rooms. That's a big school with 120 staff. We were ready to sit through 5 training sessions taken by our leadership team. Sounds a bit grim.
Yeah.
I was sat next to my friend Gareth. He was a drama teacher and a lovely chap. Big guy, 6'4", mop of curly brown hair. He looked like the human form of Fozzie Bear from The Muppet Show. Softly spoken, kind fellow, everybody liked Gareth. We were looking at the itinerary of the day's sessions. It was going to be a long one. Gareth told me that the 5th session was being taken by Mr. D, one of the assistant heads, who also taught drama with Gareth. Whenever Mr. D took a training session, he always incorporated drama into the presentation. He'd get people to come down to the front to reenact something.
Oh my goodness.
He couldn't help himself. The drama just oozed through everything that he did.
No.
Gareth informed me that in today's presentation, Mr. D would be dealing with challenging pupil behaviour. Mr. D had prearranged for Gareth to get up at the start of the presentation and start huffing and mumbling and looking down at the floor, kick a table, push a chair, that kind of thing, and make his way very reluctantly down to the front. This would give Mr. D his dramatic beginning, showing pupils behaving badly in class. Something to grab people's attention and then get them involved. This was very Mr. D. Gareth was fine with doing this to create the big opening spectacle. I think he was quite looking forward to it. Except that the room was hot and very crowded. Gareth always struggled with sleep apnea. He rarely had a full night's sleep, and this July heat had just made things worse. We were listening to training session number 4. This was being taken by a lady from the school admin staff. She was giving a lesson on the new school registration system. It was quite a dry subject. You could feel everyone, including the lady presenting, was struggling. I noticed some heavier than usual breathing coming from Gareth beside me. He'd gone very still and stopped rustling in his chair. A quick glance told me that Gareth had indeed fallen asleep, and after a couple of minutes began to snore. Quiet at first and then louder and louder. I saw several heads turning, looking over to see what had caused the noise, and I knew that, tired or not, I had to give him a nudge to wake him and save his blushes. I give him a nudge, nothing. I could feel people looking. I gave him quite a big push. He wobbled, opened his eyes and looked at me, confused and clearly far from his comfort zone. He must have been in a very, very deep sleep. Now, I don't know why, but I was suddenly taken by an idea. I leant in and whispered, "It's time for your performance." Gareth immediately stood, like a light bulb had gone on. He made a big teenage harumph and started angrily mumbling. He shoved the man in front of him. "Shut up, loser," he said. He looked down, started stroppily walking and attention-seeking in a defiant kind of way. He kicked a table. He pushed a few chairs. He stared aggressively at Miss Phillips, the RE teacher. And then he told Mr. Granger, the head of English, that he smelt of weed. Gradually, he moved to the front. There, he stuck his tongue out at Mrs. Atkinson, the head teacher. The admin lady tried to continue with her presentation, but stopped as the eyes of everyone in the room watched Gareth make his angry scene. Upon reaching the front, Gareth looked up, expecting to see a smiling Mr. D and grateful looks for his performance. Instead, he was met with the admin lady, a look of horror on her face, and a whiteboard showing the new register Poor Gareth had gone from deep sleep 60 seconds ago to the performance of a petulant child in front of the whole school staff, to a face of confusion and then terror, realising his situation. Miss Phillips, Mr. Granger and Mrs. Atkinson were not smiling. I guess if you've been told you smell,
Of we, yeah, that's
that's
true.
not a good thing. Father Simon, this was the training day of legend. And I seek forgiveness for my sin because it all comes back to me. Although I don't hold out a great deal of hope, as I do feel guilty, I shouldn't have told Gareth it was time to go and perform at the front of everyone. Luckily, Gareth was such a lovely guy. If anyone could get away with falling asleep and then totally disrupting a presentation, it was him. The whole episode was a much-needed moment to break up the monotony of 5 hours of boredom. It provided welcome respite. Future staff training days would mention the Gareth test with comments like, "Tell me if you need a break. We don't want anyone falling asleep again and then snoring." Well, I mean, I think everyone can fall asleep in meetings. But if you're going to snore, this is a major problem. And I can already see that Sister Holly is looking very stern.
Well, I come from a family of teachers, and I think I can speak on their behalf that they didn't get into teaching for those kind of teacher training days. They're really not very enjoyable. The end, though, the thing that I really hated about this was the reenactment thing. Oh my goodness. There's nothing more cringe than reenactment. I can't emphasize that enough. And I know it wasn't her idea, the reenactment, but the fact that she pushed him to then do all of this acting and pushing a table and telling someone they were stupid or whatever. Oh, I'm cringing in my seat. Ugh. And so for that reason, I can't forgive this, I'm afraid.
I've got a great idea for a Great Hits Radio away day.
Oh my goodness.
We could do a reenactment. We definitely have to get Holly involved.
Absolutely.
Not doing it.
Brother Matthew.
Well, if it was that hot, why didn't somebody open a window so Gareth wouldn't have fallen asleep? Yeah, little tip there for the future for your training days. Also, how's he missed his line? He's literally a drama teacher and he's missed his line because he didn't realise he wasn't supposed to be up there. He's coming far too early. Surely they teach you that in drama teaching school.
Drama school.
Drama teaching school.
School.
The drama school. Well, no, that's where you teach you about drama. This is where he was taught to be a drama teacher, but not very well because he missed his line. So for all of those reasons, it wasn't Stanley's fault at all. It was Gareth's. And the drama teachers, again, right at the centre of everything going wrong.
You love them so much.
Look at me.
People's verdict, please, for Stanley. 61054, first word is Simon, for the people's verdict. Forgiven or not? Before we go any further, we just had a confession before the news from Stanley. It involved drama teachers, hot weather, training day on the last day of term, and Mr. Granger, the head of English, who didn't actually smell of wee at all.
No.
And it was a false accusation. Anyway, the people's verdict is in. Here we go.
Everyone forgiving tonight. Patricia says, forgiven. Those teacher training days are always so boring. Gareth just jazzed it up a bit. Richard of Headland Bridge, completely forgiven. After all, who has a teacher training day on the last day of term? Anything learnt will have been completely forgotten by the new day of term. And as for the reenactment, yuck. And Scott says, absolutely forgiven. I recall sitting in a training session in 25 degrees with a bad hangover. Someone decided it was a good idea to shut the curtains and show us the new advertising video.
Nice.
I fell asleep and started to snore. Thankfully, I was woken up by my now wife before anyone realised. As Matt would say, it's the system. You should never train hungover people in the heat.
It wasn't their fault that he was hungover.
Well,
was
no,
it?
but it's a good
I think
lesson.
that was
Well done,
Scott's fault. Anyway, your confession, please. Confessions at greatesthitsradio.co.uk. 5:47. So let's check in with the confession world. Don't forget to send your confession, please, to confessions at greatesthitsradio.co.uk. Brand new podcast will be with you tomorrow afternoon. Today's confession comes from Maurice. Matt, have you got your book ready?
Yes, I have. Yes,
Okay,
always ready.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Not quite.
Yeah.
in fact.
Definitely.
Okay, Maurice says, Father Simon and the Conscience Collective. For my confession, we're sledding back to the winter of 1966. Second year at St Custard's boarding school in the West Riding of Yorkshire. Cold enough to freeze the Latin right out of Virgil. The whole country was under snow thick enough to hide a small horse. And our school grounds looked like Antarctica if Antarctica had gargoyles. Okay, so he's
quite
at
a picture this. I
he's
like
at a
it.
school with gargoyles in Yorkshire. Okay, probably a number of people going, I know where this is.
Okay.
Picture our joy when over breakfast, Headmaster Grimes announces, today's lessons will be cancelled snow sculpture competition instead.
Woohoo!
Maths and Latin avoided, divinity as well, yes, and fun in the snow, double and triple bonus. Ofsted didn't exist in those days, so the staff could basically do what they wanted and they would get away with it. 4 houses, 4 battle zones. Others had been given the quad, the rugby field, the tennis courts, but Grabber House, my house, and I was head boy, was given the front lawn. We were given the front lawn, not just any lawn, it's the lawn. The gardening staff's pride and joy. A velvet green so pristine, the late Queen could have enjoyed one of her garden parties on it.
All right.
That was almost a lovely rhyme there.
It was, wasn't it? Almost.
It had manicured turf, making it the most impressive feature of the property, apart from the gargoyles, and they gave it to us, the boys of Grabber House. Boys with snow. What could go wrong? My genius plan, build a wedding cake, because nothing says childhood logic like, let's make a giant dessert the birds can't eat. We rolled, packed and stacked until we had a 3-tiered tribute to cavities. Then, Father Simon, I sinned. I had a vision. It needed decorating. I dispatched Boo Boo McGinley, the class clown and agent of chaos, along with some of his classmates, to raid the art department. This really is a Beano comic kind of story.
Boo Boo McGinley.
Boo Boo McGinley and his classmates to raid the art department. He returned like a paint-smeared Santa with industrial tubs of powder paint. We went full Jackson Pollock. Red icing, yellow icing, blue icing, nothing subtle here. Tubs were kicked. Clouds of pigment were airborne. We looked like extras from Willy Wonka's Nuclear Winter, whatever that was. The cake was now a psychedelic traffic cone. The lawn looked like a crime scene at a Teletubbies rave. I don't know.
Yes.
The bell rings and it's time to go back to the hall. The judges are considering their verdict and we came last, which was quite shocking really for us, but my real penance was yet to come, and that is the thaw. All that powder paint had to go somewhere. I prayed for more snow and got obliged, blizzard after blizzard. From my dorm window, I watched, smug in the knowledge it was buried. Evidence gone, the perfect crime. And then spring betrayed me. The melt revealed a spreading, accusatory bruise on the sacred turf. It was purple. It was smeared like the lawn had been in a fight with a grape popsicle and lost. I don't know.
So many images
Wow,
here.
yeah.
Some interesting similes. The ground staff stood over it, heads tilted like archaeologists who just unearthed an unexploded bomb. The director was summoned, faces turned very serious. I was summoned to his office. The director was steely-eyed. Who is responsible for that aberration on my lawn? Me, head boy, beacon of leadership. Well, sir, that would be Boo Boo McGinley and his mates. It was their idea. He spelt there wrong. The paint. I told them not to. In fact, I insisted, don't use paint on this lawn, but they are strong-willed. You know Boo Boo, sir.
Oh, yeah.
The result, Boo Boo and the crew got no tea, but they did get a lot of toilet duty. Well, I imagine that means cleaning the toilets.
Oh, let's hope so.
Imagine.
Yes.
I got a stern talking to about future leadership challenges.
Oh, right. Okay.
My conscience has had a 60-year timeshare in Guiltland. Father Simon, I confessed the sin of dyeing the lawn and then throwing Boo Boo McGinley and his mates under the snowplow. Absolve me because Boo Boo and the lads never will. Please call me Maurice, says Maurice. So I have done, and that's what he is. So it's from back in the day, and I think Marie's probably enjoyed writing that one. What do you say, Holly, with a face like thunder?
Well, when Headmaster Grimes had the idea of doing a wonderful snow sculpture competition,
Yes.
I don't think he had paint in mind.
No.
I think that was a little bit outside of the box. The problem here is that he never really came clean. I know Boo Boo McGinley was part of this, but so was Maurice. He should have come clean. He should have come forward. The fact he didn't is sick and wrong, and that is why
yes,
I'm not going to forgive this today.
Sick and wrong, very good. Brother Matthew.
I'm going to forgive. My instinct is this is is one of those schools where they encourage self-expression and all of that kind of thing, leadership challenges by throwing boo-boo under the bus. Apparently that's how it works. That's who we're being led by. So I'm going to forgive, because it was the system, wasn't it? With that school and the gargoyles and the tennis court and the lawn. Who has a lawn? Anyway,
Every
all of
school
those.
has a lawn.
No, well, not at my school, or tennis courts, or quads. So for those reasons, I'm going to forgive.
People's verdict, please, for Maurice. Is he forgiven? 61054, and the first word is Simon. Just before the news, we had a confession straight out of St Custard's. This was a story from the 1960s, the West Riding of Yorkshire. It involved snow, it involved Jackson Pollock, and a lot of melting purple haze. What do we get in the people's verdict?
So forgiven, says William Carpenter. Who could have foreseen that poster paint and manicured lawns don't mix? It's not like teenage boys are good at thinking through outcomes. But Joe says not forgiven. They ruined a lovely lawn. Those gardeners spend ages making sure that the school looks respectable. And Morris ruined it.
Yes.
David, though, says forgiven. It was all good fun. Morris was just getting creative with the paint. I'm just disappointed that they didn't win.
They came absolutely last.
Didn't they? Yes,
Okay,
yes.
well, we would like to get your confession, please. Confessions at greatesthitsradio.co.uk.